Pleased to introduce to you Diane Zianis, who is a dietitian who works in the pre-dialysis area of Sunnybrook Hospital here in Toronto. And her expertise is in counseling patients with early-stage kidney disease to help them halt the progression of their disease. So thank you, Diane, for taking this time to come and speak with us today about this very interesting topic.
So this talk, like I said, is geared towards people who have finished their treatment, and the principles in terms of nutrition are more in line with cancer prevention. We know that being overweight increases your chances for kidney cancer. The American Institute of Cancer Research has identified that there's a relationship between excess body fat and increased cancer risk. And these cancers include the cancers of the esophagus, pancreas, colon and rectum, endometrium, breast for postmenopausal women, and kidney. We also know that being overweight increases your risk for heart disease and diabetes, as Dr. Shuley had just nicely mentioned before. So hopefully today I can give you some guidelines to help achieve and maintain a healthy body weight and choose healthy meals. So as I said, for today's outline, I'd like to look a little more closely at the plate method approach to achieve and maintain a healthy body weight, and also highlight some nutrients in particular, including fiber, protein, fluid, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. I just wanted to quickly touch on the body mass index because I mentioned being overweight puts you at increased risk. So BMI is a tool that's often used to determine whether you're at a healthy body weight. And as you can see, it takes someone's height and weight into consideration. And if you're in the green area, shaded between BMI of 19 and 24, you're considered to be at a healthy weight. So let's talk more about the plate method. This is something that was introduced by the Canadian Diabetes Association to help people maintain balanced meals, and is largely based on Canada's Food Guide. This plate is not only for people with diabetes, but it's also for those who are trying to follow general healthy eating guidelines to make sure that you're having a balanced meal, which means that you're consuming appropriate calories and getting the nutrition that you need to get all the vitamins and minerals. Even the US has recently moved from their pyramid to the American plate, which closely resembles this. As you can see, the plate method is largely plant-based. So half the plate is divided to your vegetables. The other half is further divided into a quarter starch and a quarter of your protein or meat category. And depending on what you choose in terms of your protein, your plate could be 3/4 to 100% plant-based. Let's start with the first half of the plate, which is our veggies and fruit. Fruits and vegetables are naturally low in fat, low in calories. They're good sources of vitamins and minerals, excellent in fiber and antioxidants. So if we follow the plate method, you've already made half your plate low in these, half your plate is full of these low-fat calorie foods. Now we just need to be careful of how we dress up our vegetables. So sautéed asparagus smothered in cheese might not be as a lower fat option compared to a grilled asparagus with some lemon juice and a dash of oil, for example. So I mentioned that vegetables and fruit are also a source of fiber. And there's many benefits to fiber, and they include improved GI health, gastrointestinal health, improved blood lipid levels, and Dr. Shuley nicely alluded to the connection with heart health here, as well as blood sugar control. And it also helps slow the digestion of food, so that helps you feel full longer. And having said that, if you're feeling full, you're not hungry, so you're less likely to overeat, and overall just eat more than what you should be in the day. The recommendation is 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. And you can achieve this by trying to follow that plate method where half your vegetables are filled with half your plate is filled with vegetables, and then you can snack on foods such as fruit throughout the day. So I mentioned fruits and vegetables are high in antioxidants. Generally speaking, all fruits and vegetables will be a source of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, but I thought I'd list a few of the fruit here to start with. So those include blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, cranberries, pears, plums, apples, cherries, and oranges as well. In terms of vegetables, you can see that the list goes on, and I purposely did that to highlight that, just by having a varied diet with lots of fruits and vegetables in there, you're going to be meeting your quota for these vitamins and minerals and powerful antioxidants. So I thought I would speak to a few practical ways to incorporate vegetables into your diet. For example, adding peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, onion, lettuce, spinach to your sandwiches. Adding vegetables such as broccoli, pepper, squash in your pasta salad. Adding celery, onions, and carrots into your chicken salad. Adding some berries to your cereal. Adding more vegetables on your pizza and cutting back on the full-fat cheese. And alternating, your chicken shish kebab with vegetables in between. I've also included various recipes throughout my presentation, and they're actually in your package. So again, just to highlight some more practical ways, this one's a breakfast fruit pita, broccoli soup, and a beet orange salad. I wanted to take a moment to talk about potassium. And as Dr. Shuley had mentioned in his earlier presentation, whether you need a potassium restriction is dependent on a variety of things. Take into consideration your serum potassium levels, residual kidney function or EGFR, as well as various drugs. So speak to your doctor whether you need to restrict potassium in your diet, and if you do, a dietitian can definitely help you with that. I wanted to highlight a few foods that are high in potassium, and also in the next slide you'll see some lower potassium alternatives. So bananas and oranges, kiwis, tomatoes, and potatoes are popular ones in our North American diet. Lower potassium foods include apples, blackberries, corn, peas, pears, raspberries, applesauce, broccoli, green and yellow beans, blueberries, carrots, strawberries, and turnips. And I just wanted to put this slide up here because oftentimes, you may really love your oranges and they may be a favorite food, but yes, they're high in potassium, and no, an apple isn't quite the same as an orange, but if you do need to follow a low potassium diet, there are lower potassium options that are out there. And I'll just add, counter to oranges, if you want something citrusy and you do need a low potassium food, you could try clementines or tangerines. They're much lower in potassium. So moving on to the next portion of the plate, we'll speak to grains and starches. So whole grains are naturally low in fat, good sources of vitamins and minerals, often excellent sources of fiber and antioxidants. So I think as consumers, we're becoming more and more aware that fruits and vegetables are high in phytochemicals and antioxidants. But I don't think people are as aware that whole grains are also really good sources too. And again, these foods are overall low in fat and calories to try and help prevent that weight gain and maintain you at a healthy weight. So what's a whole grain? Well, a whole grain, just briefly, is the entire kernel, all three parts. And that includes the bran, which is the outer skin, the germ, and the endosperm. They have more protein, fiber, and many vitamins and minerals compared to their refined counterparts, which is only the endosperm. So whole grains include things like wheat, rice, oats, barley, buckwheat, kasha, quinoa, sorghum, spelt, and rye when they're in their whole form, even popcorn. I just wanted to mention sweet potatoes and russet potatoes are also good sources of vitamins and minerals for you too. Again, some practical ways to incorporate grains into your diet. I've listed some recipes here. This one's a Greek quinoa. I've got sweet potato fries in quotes because they're baked, they're not fried, so we're keeping our fat content low. And this one's a homemade muesli. All right, so the last quarter of the plate is devoted to our protein and meat sources. And the question becomes, plant or animal-based protein? Well, the idea is to try and choose lower fat and leaner proteins more often. So those would include your plant-based legumes, as well as poultry and fish more often. We know our dried beans, such as kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils, etc., are high in fiber and naturally low in fat. Our fatty fish, such as salmon, mackerel, and herring, are rich in omega-3s, which contribute to heart health because they help lower triglycerides and raise your decrease your bad cholesterol. Red meat and processed food include beef, pork, and lamb, as well as processed meats, which are generally higher in fat and lower in sodium. Okay, try and whip by these ones. So as a rule of thumb, you want to try and choose less than 18 ounces of cooked meat per week. And I included this number. This came from the American Institute of Cancer Research. But because it's been shown, more than this has been shown to increase your risk for colorectal cancer. But this number sort of alludes to the fact in my previous slide where I said choose leaner meats such as legumes, fish, more often. Just to put that into perspective in terms of portions, a small hamburger patty is about 3 ounces and a pork chop is about 4 ounces. So thinking back to that plate, a quarter of your plate would fit 3 or 4 ounces nicely. And I think if you could generalize to the general public, our protein portions are typically larger than that amount. So again, a couple of recipes to share with you. This is a ginger salmon recipe, a Thai stir-fry, turkey Thai stir-fry, and a crowd-pleasing vegetarian chili. Now I want to quickly touch on phosphorus. These recommendations are based on serum phosphorus levels and residual kidney function, or eGFR. Again, speak to your doctor whether you need to restrict phosphorus in your diet, and a dietitian can help individualize that for you or with you. Phosphorus is found in protein-rich foods, but this doesn't mean you need to stop eating protein altogether. As I mentioned before, generally speaking, I think people have a tendency to eat more protein than they should. So trying to keep in mind with that plate method where a quarter of the plate is devoted to your protein, that'll help you keep in line with your protein requirements. Some other high phosphorus foods include chocolate, colas, nuts and seeds, which you can't have any right now at your table. Okay. All right. Quickly talk about fluids. This is an area that can be very high in calorie depending on what you choose. So we want to limit sugary beverages, colas, that type of thing, because the brain doesn't recognize the calories that you consume as a drink versus a solid meal. So you could easily have your meal and also have 300 calories or 500 calories depending on what you choose, a milkshake or whatnot, and that could contribute to weight gain. Lastly, in terms of sodium, I think Dr. Shuley also mentioned that in general we eat more than we probably need to. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of foods such as salt in itself, but also salty foods such as canned vegetables, processed meats, salted snacks, sauces and gravies that are high in sodium that you want to try and limit to keep your blood pressure controlled.
Diane, thank you very much. That was really informative, and I think it's a really important part of our self-management and we need to be, looking to the whole team, and especially dietitians, as we think about creating healthy lifestyles as we go forward. So thank you very much.